Today, we're going to be talking about a new trend in the world of coaching, and it's something that, as I've been coaching now for the last 13, 14 years, coaching sort of looked like this. Okay, it was tethered to a clock. Value was measured in hours, and presence ultimately was the product. In fact, we used to use this word called proximity, and we said proximity is power and proximity is priceless. And we would tell people to raise or lower their rates as a coach based upon proximity. So the closer your client gets to you, the more time you spend with your client, the more money you can charge. Well, I believe that era of coaching is coming to an end incredibly quickly. And I'm going to be coining a phrase today that I believe is the new era of coaching, and it's called asynchronous coaching. Okay, asynchronous coaching. I'm going to explain to you what that is in just a little bit. But I don't believe the next evolution of coaching is time-based. I believe it's systems-based. Okay, it's not about being with the client. It's about being woven into their world. Transformation has got to be accessible, adaptive, and always on. I want you to write that down. Transformation that you're trying to deliver in your coaching in our post-AI world has got to be accessible, adaptive, and always on. That's what I call asynchronous coaching. It's the framework that breaks the dependence on live interaction. It's the architecture of continuity. So we talk about continuity offers, right? So we say you need a low ticket, core product, a high ticket, and then you need some kind of continuity offer. A continuity offer is where you can make like night school is a continuity offer, like where you can offer it and people pay $99 every single month, and it's continuous, right? And so until they cancel, it's just continuous. That's called continuity offers. Well, I believe that continuity coaching is the next thing in our space. What they want is they want learning, reflection, and growth to happen in real time, guided not by an intellect, but by intellectual systems and amplified by human leadership. This isn't coaching with automations. This is engineering transformation at scale. And so I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna talk with you about this big paradigm shift, because I believe as coaches, this is the new way that you're gonna have to do it. And there's a couple benefits to this. Number one is no longer do your clients have to adapt to your schedule. And number two, no longer do you have to be available during business hours so you can take all of these live and continuous and ongoing calls. Now, so here's the way that I think. The way that I think is let's say that I do a coaching call with you on Monday, okay? So you got on your calendar, we're going to do a live coaching session. You come on here and we're coaching, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, depending on what what we're doing. And you get jazzed, you get excited, okay? And you got all this stuff you got to do. And then the week goes by and then next Monday comes around, we get back on that call, and it's like all the momentum that we created last Monday is already gone. So we're starting over from scratch. And it's like this ups and downs of coaching. And it used to work, but I just don't think that concept works any longer. And because you show up, you deliver the fire, you drop a few assignments, you hope your clients carried it through the week, and they almost never do. And by the next session, the spark is gone, the energy is flat, and you're spending the first 15, 20 minutes of your coaching session rebuilding momentum instead of advancing it. And the reason why I believe that model is dying is because we used to think that we lived in the information age. And little did we know that we weren't even scratching the surface of information back in the 90s and early 2000s and 2010s. Now in a post-AI world, you can have the most in-depth information at your fingertips immediately. And so because of that, our impatience has grown drastically, and people want results in seconds, not months. Okay. And so if your coaching process doesn't adapt to that, if your coaching is all about presence and not about continuity, then you're going to die a very quick death in the coaching world. And so that's why I came up with this idea of asynchronous coaching. It's the evolution of how we deliver transformation. It's about creating a system that keeps people learning, applying, and reflecting every single day, not just when you're live. It's about coaching that works while you don't. And there are 5 pillars that I believe make this work. Now, before I break down these 5 pillars, I'm going to overwhelm you a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to tell you that there's really like 17 different pieces of this framework. Okay. So I'm going to write out all 17 and then we're going to break it down into five categories. So let me overwhelm you just for a moment and then we'll come back and we'll simplify it. Okay. So here are the, that not work. There we go. Here are the 17 pieces of asynchronous coaching. Okay. Let me write this down so you can even see how you spell it here. Okay. So asynchronous coaching. Oh, did I spell that right? There's no U there. There we go. Asynchronous coaching, TM. I'm gonna label that. Okay. So here are the 17 components. Okay. And it's going to be a little overwhelming, but then we're going to break it down into 5 categories so it makes sense. Okay. So the first one is like obviously when you get a client, you have to have some kind of onboarding sequence. Okay. This is huge because you know you've got to orient them, you have to excite them, and you have to connect them. Okay. Then you're going to create some kind of customization plan. In ours, we call ours the yellow brick road. Okay. You need some kind of customization or plan where they can map out their goals. Okay. And then once you get a plan, then you're going to create the roadmap. Okay. The roadmap is okay, based upon this plan, here's what you're going to do, when, and where. Then you need some kind of measurement. Okay. How do you know whether you are being effective or not? Okay. Then from there, you're going to need some kind of a live connection. Okay, live connection. Then from your live connection, you need to do what we call on-demand training, or you need some kind of 24/7 training access. Okay, number 7, you need instant answers. So what I do with mine is I have my digital mind, my digital twin. Okay, and this is sort of where this is going. You need accountability, okay? Relational accountability. So this is called community. You need weekly or monthly live calibration or some kind of momentum calls, okay? I'm going to call this live calibration. You need automated accountability. I told you this is going to get a little overwhelming, but we're going to break it down for you. But this is the new age of coaching, okay? And once you have this, you're going to be able to scale incredibly fast, okay? You need a feedback loop. You need back end visibility or a dashboard, okay? You need some kind of gamification or like reward system. You need a long-term retention plan, or this could also be called um, like a next step or a certification. You need a content lifecycle system. Almost through this. You need like an integration layer. Like you need to be able to like meet them where they work, right? So this is as simple as just having like an online presence, but in integration, like how are they coming along with things? And then number 17, you need an energy layer. Like you need to be able to infuse humanity and leadership into what you're doing. Okay. Now I told you this was going to be overwhelming, but it used to be in coaching, there were 6 things that you had to have to have. With asynchronous coaching, there's really 17 things that you have to have, but you don't have to have them all at once. Okay. And these 17 things, are and these are just like off the top of my head, like things that I believe, like, that I bring to the table, that I'm trying to bring to the table, things that like once I have them will allow me to have continuity coaching and allow me to be able to show up and only have to do the beginning with my client. And then I've got processes and systems that allow them to go work on their timetable in their time frame, et cetera. Now, there's a couple things that I could put in here. So these are optional. Okay. Another one could be what I call concierge service. A concierge service is like where someone other than you takes this game plan, this customization plan that you created up here in this roadmap and escorts them through the process. Okay. So that's like a concierge service, like where you grab them by the hand and you bring them, bring them through. And then another one that you could do is like, what's the word I'm looking for asynchronous? Could be like uh, an automated event. Okay, like an automated style event. So, like for instance, so like if if they learn better by um, watching someone on a stage, so to speak, or in some kind of environment, you could automate some kind of event where you it could be two things. Okay, it could be like one, you're going to use this to get new, and two, you're going to use this to train old. Okay. So, for instance, so like with my events, like when Cavu was firing on all cylinders with my events, I would always host these 3 or 4 day implementation events, right? They were part of my program for my existing Cavu clients. Okay. But I would sell tickets to strangers to come to them because I knew that, like, okay, people learn differently. So, we're going to implement with my existing crowd. We're going to bring new people in so I can teach them something new. So I always have fresh content. And then the clients that were there implementing would actually sell the new people who were coming learning something, right? And this is how, people always ask us, how did you sell, 68, $25,000 packages in 90 days? This actually, if there was anything that I did that allowed that to happen more than anything, it was this automated style of implementation event. Okay. Where I could bring new and old people together in the same exact room. I could get 90 to 120 days worth of teaching and coaching and content out. Okay. I could scratch that communication or that community itch. Okay. But I also could use that as my really big sales system. So those are a couple optional ones that we have. Now that I've overwhelmed you, what I want to do is I want to come in here and now I want to simplify this. Okay, I want to make this really easy, and I want to show you. Let me turn my stuff here. I want to show you how this really breaks down into 5 pillars. Okay, and if you can simplify these pillars, like you can take these 19 things, okay, and you can break it down into like these five, then it's going to be relatively easy for you to be able to do. Okay, so here are the five. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to just put async in the middle, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Why can I can't ever do these little arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And we'll put async in the middle. Okay, there we go. There's really 5 pillars. Okay. So the first one that you want to think about when you're creating asynchronous coaching is you want to create like what's called the roadmap layer. Okay. This is really where you, as the intellect and as the coach, are going to give the most amount of direction. This is the intelligent direction. This is a live journey map that adapts to your client's progress, and it's built on diagnostic data, it's built on milestones, and this visually guides them from identity to mastery. Okay. This isn't curriculum, this is navigation. And this is where you, as the coach and as the intellect, are going to be spending the majority of your time. Okay. So think of it like if you are a, if you are a chef at a restaurant, an executive chef, okay, a high level chef, whether it be a Michelin star or a Iron Chef or whatever, but you've been hired as the executive chef of a very nice restaurant. Okay. Do you cook all the food? The answer is no, you don't. You don't cook all the food. You have sous chefs, you have secondary chefs who are cooking in that kitchen alongside of you. However, you create the recipe, you create the pricing, you source the food, okay? Because that's your role as the intellectual design in your kitchen is you're creating the roadmap that everyone else is going to follow. And that roadmap ultimately determines whether you are successful or you're not. And so you are the dude with the food. You are the dudette with the foodette, so to speak. And so you are the executive chef of your business. And when you're creating this new style of coaching, this asynchronous coaching, you cannot get away from being the intellect of your business. You are the intellect. All roads lead back to you. Okay. And so you ultimately are the one responsible for the success or failure of your client based upon what you do right here in the roadmap session. Okay. And so you've got to be able to come up and you've got to be able to create the roadmap. So like today, I have someone in town. We're going to be doing a Yellow Brick Road session as soon as we're done. We'll be going down to my office. I've got markers and I've got a strategy that we're going to be doing, and we're going to be laying out their entire roadmap for what their business is going to look like. And based upon that roadmap, based upon that Yellow Brick Road, as we call it, then I'll create a strategy game plan that this client can take and use. And as long as they follow the game plan that I create, they should be relatively good. That's the roadmap section of asynchronous. The second part of asynchronous coaching is what we call the rhythmatic layer, the rhythm layer. Okay. So you have roadmap and then you have rhythm. You have roadmap and then you have rhythm. This is the idea that transformation requires some kind of tempo. Okay. These are micro actions. These are reflections. These are nudges that are delivered inside of your rhythm. And these could be daily or weekly. But what this does is this is designed to sustain neurochemical engagement. So I have a guy inside of night school right now that when he first came on, he was so engaged. Okay. And we've just lost him, right? I've texted him, I've emailed him, I've called him. I've lost this guy. Still pays his bill every month, but he's not engaged with me. And so because he's not engaged with me, I'm really not helping the guy, right? And so if I would have been a little bit more intentional when I first started night school about putting in this rhythm, this behavioral synchronization, then we'd have him, right? And so this is part of my job as a leader is to be able to go back and say, okay, what can I do to sustain neurochemical engagement with my clients? And I need to create what's called flow familiarity. Okay. Flow familiarity. Okay. Progress that feels natural and not forced. Okay. So I need a flow. Okay. Here's what you're going to do. Here's the flow of the coaching. And if your system doesn't remind them, you know, then they're going to forget. And so one of the things that you'll be seeing inside of night school that I'm beginning to work on is, okay, I've got to be able to put behavioral synchronization in there. So I need reminders. I need quizzes. I need tests. I need things in there. I need to up my gamification game. I need things in there to be able to create a rhythm for my clients so they know what to do, when to do, how to do it. So that's the rhythm layer. The third one is um, I don't know a better way to say this, so I'm gonna just call it the intelligence layer. The intelligence layer. This is where AI does not replace you as a coach, but you have to use AI to mirror and extend your intellect. Okay. So this is personalization at scale through data and dialogue. This is pattern recognition across the cohort to identify where people stall, right? So this is where you got to learn your audience. Like, where do they stall? So this is where analytics really come in. So one of the things that I've been doing is I've been going on the back end of night school and I've been looking at all the trainings that I put in there. And what's interesting is I can see the ones that people absorb. I can see where they stopped. Okay. And for one of my trainings that I thought was really good, everybody's stopping in the same 30-second window. This is like a 65-minute training, and everybody's stopping around the 18-minute mark. Okay. Within that 30-second window, everybody's stopping and they're not moving on. Okay. So what that tells me is there's something right there that's stalling the people out. And so I got to go back in and I got to look at that and say, okay, well, where are they stalling out? And I got to fix that component because, like, if I'm trying to create coaching that people can have 24/7, 365, it can become continuity, then I've got to learn how to recognize the patterns across the cohort to identify where people stall. And then I've got to do what's called predictive coaching. This is where the system knows what they need next. So one of the pieces of software that I'm creating right now, this was actually from the bequest of John, is I'm training this software on my entire pointer system and I'm expanding it. Okay. Whether you're a beginner or you're making 10 million a year, I'm expanding the training. And one thing that it will do is it will begin assessing your work. And then it will, through predictive coaching, use artificial intelligence to tell you what you need to do next. And so what this does is I've always used POINTER as my logical and linear framework. And what I'm learning about logical and linear in our post AI world is everybody has a different logic and everybody has a different linear. So one of the things that we're training this new software, and as soon as it's available, you're going to get it for free inside of Night School. So one thing I'm trying to train this to do is to be able to assess your work and then to be able to tell you exactly what you need to do next. So I'm training the software using my Delphi, which is my chat AI. I'm training the software with AI that says, okay, let's create predictive coaching. And what I'm hoping that this software does, I'm hoping it's revolutionary to the coaching world because I want to be able to give coaches access to this software. They put their through Google Drive, they put their coaching content in it, and based upon the knowledge of that content, it tells your client what to do next. So imagine, like if you're a relationship coach and you've got your framework, you've got your 7, 8, 9, 10 step framework on how to have like the best relationship ever. And you're following them through the logic, but it's just not really working out. Okay. Like they're not getting the results that they want. Imagine having a software that can assess where they're at and say, no, based upon that, Susie, what I want you to do is XYZ. Or Johnny, I want you to do ABC. That's predictive coaching. So at the beginning, until you get AI as your integrator, you're going to have to do this as the intellect person, as the intelligent person in your business. So this is where your predictive coaching comes in, okay? Is you've got to be able to have a system in place that says, okay, based upon where you're at in my program, this is what I want you to do next. So if you come back to the roadmap that we created here earlier, okay, like the yellow brick road and the continuity roadmap that you do, the intellectual level interrupts that and says, no, I know this is what we created for you, but based upon the data that you're delivering, this is what I want you to do next. And the nice thing is AI is around where we'll be able to train an AI bot where the AI bot will be able to do that on your behalf. That is so much more effective because what it's going to allow you to do, it's going to allow you to have human empathy and machine precision. That's ultimately what sustains the transformation is when you have the human empathy and machine precision. So you're going to need both. Okay. The fourth one is what we call culture. Okay. Culture. So this is the idea that transformation accelerates inside shared energy. Okay. So community becomes a live organism that reinforces the values and norms of your program. Okay. So community is not just a group anymore. Okay. So it used to be that like we would tell people you had to have a community. And a community is where people, are in there, they can ask questions, they can communicate. But really, this culture layer is more about peer to peer learning. Okay. Peer to peer learning. This is why our coaching pods are some of the most effective things that we do inside of night school, is because you get peer to peer learning. I was just hearing a story about a situation that happened in one of our coaching pods, must have been 2 weeks ago, where this particular person was struggling big time with his business. And it was causing a negative impact on relationships and on his health. And one of the gals inside the pod reached out via DM to this particular person, introduced themselves. They've sort of gotten to know each other via DM. And this person was able to fill in some gaps for this particular person. That's the power of community. Okay. And this person's gotten so much further. The stress level has decreased drastically. And it had nothing to do with knowledge from a coach to this person. It had to do with the idea that the coach created a community that became a live organism that reinforced the values and norms of our program, and they helped each other. Okay, that's collaborative and collective help. That's what you're looking for, that collective collaboration. That's the culture you're trying to build inside of your program. When you have a culture like that, you don't have to show up 24/7. Okay, this is where gamification and recognition turns participation into pride. Okay. One of the struggles that will kill your coaching is if people don't participate. Okay. I can always tell the difference between people who get massive results and people who get mediocre results. And it has to do with two things. Number one is their level of participation. And number two, the practice of the information that they get. The two big telltale signs whether somebody's going to get a result or not. Number one, are they participating? And number two, are they practicing the information that you gave them? So, for instance, let me give you a negative culture. Okay. They come in and all they do is complain. All they do is gripe. All they do is ask. And then when you push back a little bit and say, well, did you do X, Y, Z? No, that will never work. No, this doesn't happen. Well, I can guarantee you that person's not getting a result. But when somebody comes in and practices the information, I'm not talking about once, I'm talking about 10, 12, 15, 18, 20 times, right? They practice that information. Okay, I created a syllabus. I didn't just create it once. I created a thing 7 times, okay? And I got really good at it, okay? And I delivered the first one, but then I adapted it and I adapted it again, and bam, now I got something gold. Like they practice the information. See, that's a culture you got to be able to put inside your coaching is you have to put this level of practice in there. Gamification does that for you. It recognizes people and turns their participation into pride. And so then when they practice things and they get good at things and you reward that, it just builds a culture inside your organization that people want to stick around, 2 people get results, and then you learn that what's rewarded is repeated, okay? And then your clients become contributors, okay? Culture becomes the coach. Now, something we've done in night school that hasn't really caught on, that it caught on before, when I did this in another program, is our open mic. I'm really surprised I'm not seeing 3 or 4 trainings being delivered inside of our open mic layer. In fact, there's not even been one. I've not even seen one training. Okay. Well, this is where you practice, is inside the open mic. You got something to say, you got something to teach, practice it inside the open mic. Okay. Help people inside your own community and watch what happens. Because as you practice this, you get good at what you do. Okay. Number 5. Okay. So you have roadmap, rhythm, intelligence, culture. Okay. And then number 5 is, this is ultimately the continuity. Okay. Ultimately continuity. This is where the system becomes self-sustaining. So automated accountability plus adaptive AI plus culture loops equals what we call perpetual motion. So let me write that down. Okay. So this is what you're looking in the new style. Okay. So we want automated accountability. That's accountability. Okay. And then adaptive AI, based upon where you are right now. This is what I want you to do. Okay. Plus culture loops. Okay. So there's a, like we just talked about, there's this culture loop. This ultimately creates what we call perpetual motion. Now, why is this important? The reason why this is important is because this is the continuity of your business, okay? And so you work with them here at the roadmap as the main coach, you lay it out. You show them the rhythm, here's what I want you to do, when to do it, how to do it, etc. You've given them access to some kind of AI where it can be adapted. And right now, this by the way, I don't know why I skipped over this. Under the intelligence, right now, you could just simply create a custom GPT based upon your coaching. Okay. If you don't know how to do that, actually got it on my list to teach you on how to do a custom GPT. Maybe that's what we'll do next Monday. Okay. Is I'll help you create a custom GPT, even though that's really more agent CEO stuff. So I'll do that a week from Friday. Okay. Let me do that. I've already got Friday's training done, but a week from Friday, I'll show you how to create a custom GPT, because this intellectual layer, you could just do it right inside of Chat GPT by creating a custom GPT with all your frameworks and all your knowledge and all your information. And then you can give them that as a AI feedback loop. You can give them that custom GPT. So I'll show you how to do that a week from Friday. Okay, this intellectual layer. But when you create the roadmap and you got rhythms and you have this built-in adaptive AI, and then you have a culture loop, okay, where you've built culture into your system, like where there's gamification, there's recognition, there's reward, there's community, there's all these things. Then what that does is that creates the continuity. That creates perpetual motion. And that's what momentum is. Momentum is simply forward motion fueled by a series of wins. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to get continuity built into your coaching. And you do that by, this is the customization right here. The only customization in your coaching is right here, right at the roadmap. Okay. And then they implement that in a rhythm. Okay. Every Monday, we have Monday Morning Mentor. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we have our pods. Every Friday, I have Agent CEO. Okay. I built a rhythm inside of Night School. And if you'll just do the rhythm and follow the roadmap, you will get a result. Okay. I have my chat AI, my thing that can adapt and give you coaching 24/7, 365. And I'm working on the culture piece. This is the weak part of my coaching right now, as I'm working on the culture piece. This used to be the best thing about my coaching, and now it's sort of become the weak link of my coaching, as I'm trying to figure out how to do this culture. Because I know that when that all works, then my continuity comes in, and I've got a cranking. And this is ultimately what makes asynchronous coaching work. Okay. And what I'm trying to do inside of Night School is I'm trying to create coaching where you can pay like $12,000. Okay. And we will customize a roadmap for you, give you a coach who can make sure you're doing the rhythm, but all the other stuff works automatically. Okay. And then I don't have to show up as often as I used to. And you'll get 2 to 3 times the result. That's what asynchronous coaching is. So it's where you create a roadmap, you've got a rhythm, you have AI intelligence, you've built a culture, and all of that combined comes in and the creates the architecture of your asynchronous coaching. So this is the architecture of it. Okay. So now let's go to the next piece, which is, so this is the architect. Okay. I'm just going to call it the framework because it's easy. Okay. So what we know is the first part of it is, that there's got to be a shift. Okay. The paradigm shift. It's got to shift from proximity coaching to asynchronous coaching. The second thing is the philosophy of it is that the human brain doesn't grow in sessions, it grows in cycles. Okay. And the philosophy, let me just show you this before I come in and give you a step forward. The philosophy of it is this. Okay. The human brain grows in sessions. I'm sorry, the human brain doesn't grow in sessions. It grows in a cycle. Okay. And the cycle is this. Okay. This is how you learn. It's awareness. I know there's a lot of information. So you're going to want to go back and watch this a few times. Okay. Then it's application, integration, and then from integration, it's reflection. From reflection, it's refinement. And then starts all over again. Okay. So everything starts. This is how you learn, right? This is like in your coaching. This is the cycle of coaching. If you don't know this, maybe I just taught you this. Okay. And maybe I should do a whole training on this, but this is really the thing. So everything starts with awareness, right? So that's what I'm trying to do today with asynchronous coaching is I'm trying to help you just simply become aware of the new trend in coaching. Okay. And then what we'll do is in our coaching, we'll figure out some kind of application. You'll go integrate that inside your business. You'll reflect on what was good, what was bad, et cetera. And then you'll refine that and then you'll start the process over again. This is the cycle. Okay. This is the cycle of learning that you've got to have inside your program, right? So what asynchronous coaching does is it completes the loop. It uses rhythm, okay? It uses a rhythm, structure, and intellectual systems to ensure that every stage is experienced and reinforced continuously, not occasionally, okay? And so that's why if we say, okay, if this is how you learn, then what we want to do is we want to take these 5 things and we want to make sure that it's in here and it's training you incredibly well. I hate it when I misspell. It's training you well, okay? And so what asynchronous does is asynchronous comes in and says, okay, we're going to come in here and we're going to use a roadmap and rhythm and intellect and culture, okay, to create continuity. So this always happens, okay? So it's not accidental. Whereas sometimes in the 1 week style coaching, you have these crashes and this isn't done all the time. Okay. So this is where this is ultimately what asynchronous coaching is. The philosophy is this is how people learn. This is a cycle that people learn. The framework is we need to keep this cycle working. And we do that through our foundational architect. Okay. Now the 4th layer of this is what we call the experience loop. Okay. So now let's come in and let's create the experience of this. Okay. So we got the philosophy. Okay. We know the paradigm shift is got to go from, weekly proximity coaching to 24/7 asynchronous coaching. That's the paradigm shift. Number 1. Number 2, the philosophy is that you don't grow in sessions, you grow in cycles. The third one is you have to have a foundational architecture to be able to put it all in place and cause it to be continuous. And then the experience loop looks like this, okay? Every client moves at their own pace inside a unified rhythm. So when I was growing up, we did a style of learning, when I was growing up, called Accelerated Christian Education, ACE, okay? And it was one of the first systems on the market that did this thing where it was learn at your own pace. Because up until this point, all the state standards were When you're in kindergarten, you should have learned this. When you're in first grade, you should have learned this. When you're in second grade, you should have learned this. And there was a guy who came out and said, okay, I don't like that because we all develop at a certain level. Okay. And if you force everyone to learn at the same level, you're going to leave certain people behind and then you're going to dwarf others. So we came up with this thing called accelerated education and presented to the public system. They rejected it. So he brought it to the church world and now called it accelerated Christian education. And what it was is it was called PACES. In fact, you created PACES and every grade level had 12 paces. So like, let's say you were doing etymology or word building. There were 12 paces to first grade, 12 paces to second grade, 12 paces to third grade. And a pace was like a booklet of like 31 pages. And it was everything you had to learn at that particular level. But they called it a pace because you could go as fast or as slow as you wanted to go. Okay. And so I was in first grade, and by time first grade ended, I completed so many paces. I was already through halfway through my sixth grade. Okay. Think about that. I was in first grade, but I was doing sixth grade, halfway through sixth grade work in first grade. And then in second grade, I shot all the way through and I had completed high school with the paces at second grade. Okay. At second grade. And what this guy would say is that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to let you learn at your own pace. And what it did was it opened up my intellectual capacity of learning so much faster than most people that I know. Well, coaching is the same way. You have to learn that when you get somebody, they're going to learn at different paces. Some people you're going to hire and they're going to be ahead of you, okay? But you still have the ability to teach and train them and coach them. There's going to be people way behind you that if you treat everyone the same way, that it's just not going to work. So what you have to be careful is asynchronous coaching is not same coaching, okay? That's not what asynchronous coaching is. Asynchronous coaching is not. Asynchronous coaching is creating an experience. It's creating an experience where people can learn, they can apply, they can reflect, they can reinforce, and they can evolve at their own pace. Okay? This is the experience you're creating. So there are no deadlines. There's just a momentum cycle. Okay. And so this is not group coaching. It's personal transformation within a collective current. Okay. So what you're trying to do with your framework and with your philosophy and with these 19 things that you're doing, you're trying to make sure that people can learn, apply, reflect, reinforce, and evolve at their own pace. And the idea is if they do this through your intentionality and framework, understanding that they're going to learn a particular way, okay, and you've done that through these 19 components, okay, you're going to have a really good program, okay? So I told you I was going to break it down into 5 components, and here they are. The 5 components is okay, is there a way for them to learn? Is there a way for them to apply? Is there a way for them to reflect? Is there a way for them to reinforce? Is there a way for them to evolve without me having to be present? Okay. Without me having to be present. You say, okay, well, Chad, well, hold on. If I don't have to be present, then what is my role? Okay. If I don't have to be present, then what is my role? Well, in asynchronous coaching, the coach evolves from mentor to meta designer. Okay. The coach moves from a dependency to an independency. So you no longer are the source of answers. You're the architect of experience. Okay. I want you to think through that. So no longer are you the source, the mentor, the source for answers. Now what you are, you're the architect of their experience. That is your new role. Okay. And so you design, okay, here's what you design. Okay. Number one, you design, why do I keep doing that? Here's what you design. You design these four things. Okay. Number one, you design the environment where change is going to happen. You design the language, okay, that ultimately drives reflection. You design the feedback loop where you can make clients aware and hold them accountable. And you design the culture that ultimately compounds belief. Okay. And now what happens is your worth is not measured by how much time you spend with a client, but the transformation that's achieved without you being present. So this is the new metric. Here's the new metrics. Okay. So the bottom line is your worth is not measured by time spent, but okay, but by transformation, but by the transformation achieved without your presence. Okay. That's how you know you've made it. Okay. So when you can look back and say, okay, listen, okay, I was able to get them a transformation without having to spend a ton of time with them, that's more powerful. The reason why this is more powerful and ultimately worth more money is because they can get a result 24/7, 365. Okay. Which, if their currency is speed, this works. If their currency is results, this works. If their currency if their currency is clarity, this works. Okay? It speed, result, clarity. What are they looking for? This system allows them to have all of that. Okay? So now, so your new metric for you is my worth is no longer how much time I spend, but the transformation I can get them without me being present. Okay. So then what do you measure inside of your actual system? What are the actual numbers? Okay. Okay. Or the metrics. Okay. The old coaching used to be attendance. It used to be completion. It used to be satisfaction. Okay. That was the old way. With asynchronous coaching, okay, what this is, we're going to call this the new way. Okay. This is the retention based upon behavior. Okay. This is integration of a new identity. This is peer reinforcement. And this is predictive engagement. So this is what you're looking for. Okay. Who's likely to disengage and why? You have to know that. Okay. And so then what happens is your new system here, this new system becomes diagnostic. It becomes diagnostic. Okay. It's constantly teaching you how to lead better. It's consistently teaching you. So the old way, I hear a lot of coaches say this, and I've done this myself, right? So the old way is like I'd have one client that would disagree with something, just one, or they didn't get a result, or whatever happened, just one, and I would change so many things about my coaching because of that one person. Okay, and as I became a better coach, I stopped that, and now I'm like, no, I know the system works. I'm not the problem. You need to do the work, okay? And if you do the work and you listen to what I say and it doesn't work, then and only then will we go in and make an adaptation. But I've coached over 5,200 people through the processes that I'm teaching. My system, I know, is proven and it works. So you need to do it. Now, though, what this is allowing me to do is I'm not changing anytime one person has an issue. Now, what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, my system is my system. So I don't need to change my system. What I need to do now is I need to look and figure out, how does the person I'm working with, how do they learn? Okay, how do they learn? And this is where I'm going, right? So like I need to understand that says, okay, they need to become aware, they need to have application, they need to have integration, they have reflection, refinement. But that's not how everybody learns. Right? Some people learn differently. Some people learn more in lecture format, like I'm doing now. Some people learn more in written format. Some people learn in audio format. Some people learn in group dynamics. Some people learn experiential. There's different ways people learn. And so, what I'm trying to do in my new coaching program, like with Night School, is I'm trying to take all the components of how somebody learns and make it available through one of those 19 things that I shared with you at the beginning, and make it available. So then now when I go do a yellow brick road, I can say, okay, here's what we're trying to do. Here's the goals. Okay. So we still need the big idea of your business. We still need the payoff statement. We still need your logical and linear process to do it. We still need to figure out, how they're going to get access. We still need tools and resources. We still need a community network. We still need those 6 components that make your coaching program a coaching program. But now I've got an ecosystem that I can help people, regardless of where they are, come in through asynchronous learning, create an intelligent roadmap and a rhythm for them. That's my job. And then they can go learn at their own pace with their own style 24/7, 365, which makes asynchronous learning 1,000 times more effective than non-asynchronous learning. And that's why I'm beginning to make this shift right in front of your very eyes. And as I've taken some time to process why I believe this works and why I'm going to be on the forefront of pushing this and leading this, is up to this point, you either had live coaching or you had group coaching. That's it. And the reason why people wanted to do group coaching was this. Well, I don't want to have to do one-on-ones. I hate one-on-ones. I don't want to do one-on-ones. I'm tired of one-on-ones. I don't have time for one-on-ones. I can't scale one-on-ones. You're right. But you do group coaching for you, not for them. What asynchronous learning says is no, no, no. Okay, we're not going to do one-on-one. We're not going to do group. That word is out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create an environment that no matter how you learn, what your style is, you'll be able to learn, apply, reflect, re-engage, okay? Reinforce, evolve, all at your own pace. You're going to be able to go fast. And my ability to be able to create systems that allow you to do that will ultimately determine whether I'm any good or not. And that's the difference between a good coach and a great coach, is do you have the ability to create that system? And then the numbers, because it's all analytical, you'll be able to go in and study the numbers and figure out, okay, how can I improve my program based upon analytics, not based upon opinion? And that's a game changer. That's a game changer for guys like me who are very emotional, right? I'm very emotional. So when, I take the positive and negative things that people say, and I take them both very, very personally, just because I'm an emotional being, right? And so what this does is it allows you to create a system that helps you improve. So what's the future? The future is this model doesn't make coaches obsolete. It makes them omnipresent. And the next wave of high-level leaders will not sell coaching calls. What they will do is they will license coaching systems. And that's what I'm trying to do. They're going to license a coaching system, a self-guided, self-correcting ecosystem that delivers an outcome independent of the coach's schedule. And you're not just building programs anymore. You're building operating systems for transformation. And the future of coaching is not about being online anymore. Let me rephrase that. The future of coaching is not about being online more. It's about being in your client's world more deeply through rhythm, reflection, and resonance. The coach of tomorrow doesn't need to chase attention. What they need to do is they need to learn how to engineer transformation. That's asynchronous coaching. It's the architecture of continuity, the evolution of coaching, and the future of transformation at scale. You guys are the very first people in the world for me to roll this out to you on. You're going to see some really cool things. You're going to see some new AI software coming out on asynchronous coaching. You're going to begin seeing an ecosystem that I do inside my program around asynchronous coaching. And you're also going to see a certification coming out very soon where you can learn to become an asynchronous coach and deliver this inside of your own program and make a ton of money doing it. So that's the new way. I know I gave you a lot of information. We'll be breaking this down over the next several weeks so you can learn this, but I'm going to be pushing you to move from the old model of one-on-one proximity style coaching to a transformation model that allows you to scale beyond time. All right, guys, hopefully that was helpful.